In a couple of hours, they'll be debating this new abortion law, a draconian law, in the State House here in Montgomery behind me. It's really extreme. Abortion banned at all stages, including for women who have been raped or are victims of incest. A doctor who performs an abortion may even go to prison for 99 years, they say. But the people who framed this have done so deliberately. They want it to get a legal challenge, which it will do, because they want this to go up to the Supreme Court. This is the moment in this conservative era in America. You've got conservative judges on the Supreme Court. They think that they can get Roe versus Wade overturned. That's what guarantees American women the right to choose to have an abortion. 16 states have passed extreme legislation this year alone, including Georgia, where I've just been. And as I've been finding out, this strategy by the anti-abortionists, it operates on a national level, it operates on a state level, and it's operating on a local level too. A new pregnancy advisory center in Macon, Georgia.
So this is going to be our ultrasound room and area.
The original plan was that women would be able to get abortions here. So this would have been an abortion clinic?
It would have been an abortion clinic.
And you stopped it?
Yes, we did.
How do you feel about that?
I'm really proud of that fact. We were able to stop something that was going to be what we consider a blight on our community.
Activists protested for months until a wealthy benefactor simply bought the building and gave it to the anti-abortionists who believe that terminating a pregnancy is murder.
From 6 weeks, your baby is already, it's formed.
In their current premises, soon to be vacated for the new building, the councillor tries to persuade women that there are better options than abortion. Do you think Donald Trump is on your side?
For all of his faults, he is the most pro-life president we've had in my lifetime, probably.
But of course, President Trump, before he became a candidate, said he was pro-choice.
Yes. And I would say that it is the evangelicals who got him elected. And I would even argue that possibly he had a change of heart.
Georgia is a state that values life.
Last week, Georgia's governor signed the heartbeat bill, which asserts that a fetus has a heartbeat at 6 weeks, so that will be the limit for an abortion. But at 6 weeks, many women don't know they're pregnant. The purpose of the bill, and others in Alabama and elsewhere, is to trigger a legal challenge, so a case ends up in the Supreme Court. President Trump has appointed 2 conservative Supreme Court judges. One specific aim is to overturn Roe versus Wade, the 1973 judgment that gave American women the right to abortion.
If we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, and that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court.
Still open, still legal. The Georgia bill doesn't come into effect until January and will be challenged in court, but there's confusion already.
The scary part about it is that people don't understand how the process works. We get calls all the time about people double checking if they can still get their procedure, being worried if they're after 6 weeks, which most people don't realize they're pregnant. So of course, the vast majority of our patients are after 6 weeks. Abortion is still legal in Georgia.
Legal, but not easy for women who live in rural Georgia or in small towns where abortion access has been dwindling for decades. When April Green fell pregnant at 19, she was clear she wanted an abortion, but she had to drive to Atlanta to get one.
Living in this state, especially in the really conservative, very rural area that I grew up in, I didn't feel like I could tell anyone at all.
Now she helps other women, especially those who have no money. The heartbeat bill won't stop them, she says.
When someone needs or wants an abortion, they're going to find a way to do it. They might not do it safely, they might have to do something that they wouldn't otherwise do. They might have to order, abortion pills online. They might have to, resort to something that they shouldn't have to resort to have an abortion. But you don't stop abortions with laws like these. You stop safe abortions.
There was no motion from the other side.
He made a motion.
Last week, the debate in the Alabama state legislature collapsed in disarray after representatives tried to pass a draconian law criminalizing abortion, even in cases of rape and incest. Georgia's law doesn't go so far, to the disappointment of some.
Both cases, rape and incest, are the only crimes where the innocent victim is the one who's being punished.
Well, the innocent victim is the woman who's been raped.
Or the innocent victim is the baby who's been produced in her womb.
So this heartbeat bill, which has just been passed, doesn't really go far enough for you.
It is not quite where I would like for us to be, but it's so much better than where we were that I am delighted.
The anti-abortionists are on the march. This, they think, is their moment.
Lindsay Hilsum in Alabama. Well, joining us now from that state, from Montgomery, is Stacey Fox, who's from the pro-choice organization Planned Parenthood. Well, Stacey Fox, as Lindsay Hilsum made very clear, the strategy here is to try and take this all the way to the Supreme Court and get abortion banned across the country. What is the strategy of the pro-abortion lobby to try to defend abortion in America?
Well, John, we are fighting this bill here in Alabama the same we did in Georgia, every step in the way. So in Georgia, we will be taking the state of Georgia to court to ensure that that law never takes effect in that state. And while we're here in Alabama and the fight goes to the floor of the Senate today, we will fight in the Senate today. And if it heads to the governor's office, we will fight the governor and make sure that the governor here in Alabama, that she hears from Alabamians and encourage her to veto. And if this bill does get signed into law in Alabama, we will take the state of Alabama to court. And in the meantime, John, we're also working on addressing things like abortion stigma, because that's certainly why we are where we are right now in this country, the shame and stigma around women's sexual and reproductive health care. And at the same time, making sure that these lawmakers, these politicians that voted against women this year, do not return to office next fall when we head to the ballot box.
Are there not now states where abortion is already so difficult to achieve that, in fact, frankly, banning it is not going to make a huge difference?
That's right, John. Abortion is already fairly inaccessible in many states like Mississippi, where we work, where there is only one clinic providing access to abortion care for the women in that state. But let's be clear, these dangerous, extreme abortion bans are just are enough. They are nothing more than a political game, right, from our politicians that are trying to get in between doctors and their patients with these personal, private decisions that should be left to patients and their doctors.
Well, now, some states are going the other way. I mean, and there are states where abortion on a proper scale is now legal. Are they in danger, or have they secured something which even the Supreme Court cannot destroy?
Well, let's be clear. When the Supreme Court makes a decision, it is the law of the land here in the United States. And these lawmakers, these politicians in the South are trying hard to take one of these cases to the Supreme Court to take away women's bodily autonomy in this country. While we have a president and a new Supreme Court that are literally lying about the facts about women's health care in order to give cover to politicians like those here in Alabama that are trying to pass these extreme measures.
Stacey Fox, thank you so much for joining us from Montgomery.